Brother Rick and Siobhan Morgan. Where do you all reside currently?
Right outside of Nashville, Tennessee.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. And I know that you all are a ministering couple at a congregation. What is the name of your congregation?
The Cumming Street Church of Christ in Franklin, Tennessee.
Awesome, awesome, cool, very cool. Okay, guys, let's get into it. We want to hear, how did you meet? Now give us his version and her version.
Well, I'll be a gentleman and let her version go first.
So before a lot of you came on, we were actually laughing with a few of the ladies that were on because we're like, when did we actually meet? In 2006, I moved to Durham, North Carolina as a travel nurse. And so if any of you have had any type of dealings or connections with Southside, then you know that once you're there, you're family. And so we had some amazing singles and young adults activities. And I remember seeing Rick at one of those events. I know that we met somewhere between 2006 and 2007 because that's the time that I was there. I left Durham in 2007. So we met there initially. And I remember asking one of the sisters, I'm not seeing him around. Who is that? And they were like, oh, that's this particular one's play brother, like, oh, okay. And you just kind of go on from there. And then we continue, Facebook came about and we became Facebook friends. And I remember actually going to Greenville for one of my accounts for the company that I was working on and saw him. I went to church there that Wednesday night. And again, it's like, okay, I'm flying back home. It was nice to see you. And we did not reconnect again until 2016. When he put a message on Facebook and said, pray for me, I'm heading to Nashville. And I sent him a message, a private message, and I was like, I slid in his DM before I even knew what it meant. But so I sent him a message and I was like, hey, what are you doing in my city? And he was like, hey, sis, I forgot you live there. Little did I know, he had been coming to the leadership meetings at Schrader Lane for years and, always leaving before Sunday. So I never saw him, never knew that he was there. And I said, well, since you're going to be in my city, let me just, show my old friend around and just kind of show you some of the things that Nashville has to offer. Again, it was not a date. He continues to say this, but in my mind, I'm just showing an old friend around. So we met and we went and we had dinner and walked around downtown, and Nashville is quite the hot spot for bachelorette groups and all of that. And I was like, watch, these ladies are going to ask us to take their picture. And they did. And then they said, are you guys on a date? I said, no.
Emphatically said no.
Because we weren't. Just showing him around. I even remember saying, let me show you over here by the water, by the Titan Stadium. He was thinking, oh, this is going to be really nice. Especially, I was like, no, this is where the homeless people hang out. So we don't really hang out over here because, you just kind of look at it and you don't hang out here at nighttime. So you just kind of walk by and you keep going. And so I remember the next day that he was leaving, and I would talk to him, checking on him throughout his 10-hour drive. And then it was the next day, and you're like, oh, you get a message or a phone call, and then there's another one, and I'm like, whoa, okay. And so some of the messages would go a day or so before I would respond, but he never gave up. He kept sending messages, or he continued to send me text messages, or we weren't doing Marco Polo then. I think we later started Marco Polo. Yeah, maybe, but anyway. And so I'm like, oh, okay, this is getting deep. So let me stop and think and let him know that, hey, So I don't really think that I'm ready for this type of commitment in a relationship. So I want to be honest with you. I want to be upfront. You know, I am seeing other people. So I just want to let you know. And he was like, okay. And he called me the next day. Okay, so I would go to the gym. I would reply in my Marco Polos with my headscarf on. I mean, everything. Like, I want you to know this is just a friendship. We're not doing anything else. He had gone to DC for Christmas and sent me a package after late Christmas, early birthday present. I'm thinking, now I have had this conversation with him. He's still spending money. He's still sending things. Oh my gosh. And I stop and I think, like, what was holding me back? But it was the fact that all my life I was told, number one, that I was going to marry a preacher. And I love this aunt dearly, but she's the same aunt that told me that I was going to be in a particular sorority because of my attitude or whatever. So I always wanted to prove her wrong. And I was like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. And I probably should have pledged that sorority, but because of her, I didn't. But anyway, so I was like, I'm not marrying a preacher. And then I had just moved from North Carolina. I had come back here. I was working. My family is here. And my nephew was one of the main reasons that I left Durham to begin with. And he's 13 years old now. So I'm like, oh, but I'm close to my babies. So I can't move back to North Carolina. So let me let this man know that I'm probably going to stay in Tennessee. So we're probably we need to be friends. And then he says, sis, I want you to come and speak at our singles conference at the congregation where I'm the interim minister in Jacksonville, North Carolina. I see Maggie over there smiling. And I was like, no, I mean, I speak, but can't you find somebody else? And he's like, sis, so what's your title? Because this is what we are planning on the headline being. And I'm planning on you being the keynote speaker. And I'm like, I'm having a hard time telling you no. Let me pray about this, because have you not looked for anybody else? Sis, so I'm buying this plane ticket for you to come on out to Jacksonville. I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to Jacksonville. So I get on the phone and I call my Durham connection of friends, and I was like, look, so I am going to be speaking on this particular day, and don't y'all leave me down here. And this is the only person I know in this city. So they're like, okay, we got you. So they come in the carload. I love my girlfriends. Quintella was one of those she was the driver. So they come and they show up and they support. And and Quintella's making comments the whole time, like, I don't really know her that well, because that was the first time we met too. She's like, but there's something going on between y'all. And I was like, no, we're just friends. Okay. And so then I remember we went to somebody had some beautiful earrings, and it was at this hair.
She said he just a friend.
So I said, will you take me by this hair place to get these earrings? And so he comes and he's opening the door, right? So these ladies in the car right next door were sitting, waiting, because they were like, he didn't open our door. He only opened your door. So every step we took that weekend, they are watching everything. So we had the banquet that night. After the banquet, they left. The next day, I was also instructor that I was teaching Sunday school. Yes.
For the women.
For the women, excuse me. Yes, I was teaching the ladies Sunday school class. And then afterwards was, with him preaching, and then I was supposed to fly out. And in the middle of him preaching, one of the brothers came and tapped me on the shoulder and asked me to come to the back. And I thought, what is this? You have interrupted me in the middle of the service. I promise you, there's nothing going on. I don't know what you've heard, but so I go, and this stern-looking brother standing out there, and he's like, "Your flight's been canceled." What do you mean my flight's been canceled? So here's the information that you can call. So once he's finished preaching and he comes back, and I tell him, I was like, "Look, they said my flight's been canceled. I've got a full load of patients tomorrow, so I need you to take me to the airport so that we can figure out what's going on. I've flown for 5 years. I know that I can probably get on a flight. So just go ahead and take me to the airport, and we'll see what they can do." So we go to the airport, and you look, canceled. Everything else is delayed. My flight was the only flight out of all the flights there that was canceled. And the reason it was canceled was because it never snows in Jacksonville, North Carolina, but it decided to snow that day. Now, the snow also melted before it hit the ground. So there was no snow on the ground, but that one flight to Nashville, Tennessee was canceled for 24 hours. And so I said, well, I also don't believe in rushing flights. If the Lord does not plan on me getting on this flight, then there's a reason. So let me call work and tell them they're going to have to reschedule my patients. And I guess find me another hotel room because I'm here for 24 more hours. Do you want me to take a break and you?
Oh, you're doing fine.
So during that time, gosh, we had a whole nother day. So we decided to go and get lunch. And then he started taking me to meet family members. One of the family members joined us for lunch and was just sitting across the table, just watching. And y'all, he was eating out of my plate. I was like, I don't know you like that. Are you really eating out of my plate? And I'm gonna let you know, it hasn't stopped. But anyway, so yeah, and so his cousin was across the table, like looking the same way Quintella was, like, y'all just friends, right? Okay. And so then he takes me to meet another older cousin of his, and I thought, okay. Oh, we went to see a movie. The movie was absolutely horrible. I think we both fell asleep during the movie. But other than going out and doing these things, I was just going to be in the hotel room for a whole nother day. So might as well, right? So went to the movies, and afterwards I said, look, you have paid for everything the entire trip. Let me at least treat you to dessert. So, we decided to go to Applebee's. And we stayed at Applebee's, wasn't it like 4 hours? 3 or 4 hours at Applebee's. Dessert, that was it. Dessert. He got a dessert, I got a dessert. He still ended up eating part of my dessert. It honestly became our signature dessert until Applebee's decided to cancel that particular item. So we've tried to recreate it at home. It just hasn't turned out as great, but I'm still working on it. But anyway, during that 4-hour dessert adventure, I sat and I thought there was a reason that my flight was the only flight that was canceled. There's a reason that I am here in Jacksonville, and my girlfriends, who I thought were staying the entire weekend, are already back in Durham. God is really trying to show me something, and bless everyone else's heart that was scheduled for that flight. I feel like it was because of me that they didn't get to fly anywhere, because he's like, you are not paying attention to me. So I'm going to make you slow down and look and see what is right in front of you. Everything that you've ever asked for, I've given it to you right here. The title of my speech when I was at the singles conference was called Wait and See. And basically, it was just saying, you know, just wait on the Lord and see what he has in store for you. Don't give up. Just wait and see. And here I am. Hello, all this time that you put this lesson together, have you not paid attention that everything that you've asked for plus is sitting right in front of you? So we talked about that. We talked about my hesitations, the things that I had concerns with. And we knew basically at the end of that 4-hour dessert meal, whatever, that we were going to get married right then. Yeah. It was kind of one of those that he was like, I'm not trying to play games. And obviously he was quite dedicated and meant what he said, because I tried for 6 months to push him away. And for 6 months, he continued. For 6 months, he continued to make those connections. For 6 months, he continued to show me that to show me that he had made a promise to me that he was going to be there. And so that was our hashtag for our wedding, which was 6 months and a promise. The dessert was the apple blondie with the little cream cheese glaze and all that other stuff. Now they've got some apples. It wasn't apple, I'm sorry. It was the blondie, yes, with the caramel sauce and the maple walnut and the ice cream. And now they put some apple something, and it's horrible in our opinion. So, but so that was in March of 2017. We he came and met the family for Easter, and then he came back a few weeks later. So Easter was in April. He came back in May to actually meet my dad and just to hang out.
Well, it was leadership.
Oh, it was.
But it got canceled for that.
Until he was getting ready to come, and he had already taken off, so he decided he was still going to come. And so here we all are, just kind of hanging out at the house. Gosh, my dad had left and gone somewhere with my baby sister. I'm getting sleepy. I'm thinking it's time for all of y'all to go home, because I turned into a pumpkin at a certain time. But
this was like a Thursday night too, right?
Yes, yes. So my dad came back and he starts talking about this jewelry box that he had given me that had come from Haiti. And I'm thinking, my dad is not interested in this jewelry box. What in the world? It's like 10 o'clock. My twin nephews are running around. One is in between my legs. The other one is behind me. It was just odd that night. And then he gets on one knee and he's asking my dad for my hand in marriage. And I was like, what really just happened? I was not expecting it that particular night. So we got engaged in May, and then we were married November 11th of the same year. So we got engaged and planned a wedding in 5.5 months. And
She planned the wedding.
He said, okay, which is usually what takes place. Just tell me when to show up and I will do that. So this November will be our third. Look, I'm trying to read notes and I'm missing all these. Kim, you're going to have to send me the notes so I can catch up on them. So I will let him give his version now.
Well, pretty much everything she said was kind of true. So, as far as us, meeting before at Southside, Brian Moss, of course, was there, and Brian and I and Tronda literally all went to school together, grew up, and unbeknownst to me, Brian and Tronda were kind of playing matchmaker back then. It just didn't quite work out then initially. But like she said, time kind of had passed, and I came out to Nashville. I forgot she was on Facebook. I really had forgot. But she hit me up in my DMs and said, "Hey, let me show you around town." So, and she did. We had a great time, and she literally was hooked ever since. She tell you all this stuff about she was running around. She wasn't running around, but nonetheless. So we communicated literally from that point on, literally every day here or some kind of way we communicated. And before I started pursuing her initially, you know, Brian, and a few other of my good friends would say, you know, she's a beautiful sister, but she's out of your league. So they all said, you know, you didn't have a chance, you know, yeah, you didn't have a chance. So to me, that's almost like saying stick them to a bulldog. You know, you're not going to tell me what I can get. So, and again, being in ministry and literally kind of growing up in the church and understanding that, you know, ministry was a part of my life and would be, you know, I was very cautious about the type of women that I would date or look at long-term relationships with, because I know the value of a good, strong preacher's wife. And so that was something that was always in the back of my head, not just the outer beauty and that sort of thing, but I really needed someone who had that personality, that skill, that inner beauty, as well as the outer beauty, to really be an asset to the kingdom. And so, you know, after I got back home, I was like, well, how do I get her here to let my family check her out? Because, you know, I got a lot of, you know, sisters and female relatives. And so, you know, they're going to have something to say about whoever I bring home. So how can I get her out here? Because she's not going to come willingly just to come visit. So, of course, you know, we had a singles ministry, and I was over that, and I was preaching. And, you know, we typically did some type of singles conference every year. And I said, perfect, that's what I'll do. I'll get her to come and do the singles conference. And not only just do that, but, you know, I think she spoke Friday, she spoke Saturday, she spoke Sunday morning. So she literally did like a revival for us.
You put me to work.
And she did a great job with everything that she did, which, I mean, I knew she would. And literally, it was about 5 minutes or so after we got there Friday. I picked her up from the airport and everything, and, you know, picked her up for that Friday evening session. And literally about 5-10 minutes after, you know, we got there, kind of introduced her, did all that, a sister pulled me aside and she says, she is the one. What are you waiting on? And which, again, I already knew she was the one, but again, just to have that confirmation from other people looking outside in, kind of really reaffirmed that, I picked a good one. And so, so we went through that weekend, had a great time. Yeah, her flight was canceled, which was great to me. And literally got to meet all my family. They all fell in love with her. And they just kept saying, don't mess it up. Literally, that was all they kept saying, don't mess it up. And so as we went through that, so she got home and everything, and literally every day since that time, we talked. So actually since 2016, literally, we've talked every day in some way, shape, or form. And the beautiful thing about it is, you know, I'm like, you know, she really is out of my league. So what is it that she sees in me? But it's just amazing how things fall into place, and especially after the flight issue. And in fact, now that I think about it, when y'all came back, was it you and your mom when y'all came back for the engagement party? Their flight was canceled again. So it's like every time they come to North Carolina, their flight was canceled, which again was great for me. But I just thought about that. But so, yeah, so we started dating March or so of 2017. And
see, officially, because that August, it wasn't a date.
Whatever. Look, I paid for the meal. But, you know, we dated. And in that Applebee's 4-hour session, literally, I mean, it's like we planned our whole life together, because we had a lot of the same goals, same desires. You know, I let her know, you know, I'm a preacher, you know, I'm going to be in ministry in some way, somehow. You know, if that's going to be a problem, let me know. But we literally just laid it all out. And, you know, we were older as we were dating. You know, we were both in our mid 30s. So, enough of the playing around and, all this boyfriend. Look, we're going to plan long term. Either you're in it or you're not. And so we pretty much just planned our life together and courted for a little bit. And everybody knew but her that I was going to propose. Well, her dad didn't know necessarily. But yeah, everyone knew. So her sister knew, her mom knew. They were all there. They almost gave it away. Thankfully, they didn't. But my family knew. And, from that point on, I mean, it's just been a blessing. I mean, everything literally just fell into place and has still continued to fall into place. And so every now and then I'll just kind of wake up or I'll be driving and I'll be like, man, I'm married. And I married a good one, because it's just amazing that the blessing that she has been the last 3 years, and especially now in this new ministry role that we have. I'm just in awe that she really has been that much of a blessing to my ministry already. I'd always hear preachers say, my wife is such a blessing in the ministry, but I had been a single preacher for a long time. So yeah, wives are good, but you can do it without being married. But having the right spouse in ministry, man, I mean, it's like night and day. So I'll stop right there for now.
Just a little side note. If someone tells you, are you going to wear that? Are you going to put on some makeup? Just go do it. Because I was like, no. And I'm fine with what I have on. I'm not going through all of that. Did not know. Had no clue. They were just like, okay, Siobhan, just okay. And the video that we have was recorded by a 10-year-old at the time. So it's just all over the place. And when I tell you that I'm like, oh my gosh, I literally have a child that's behind my back and I have one that's sitting in my lap. And it was so funny. And my nephews, they're 7 now, but they were 4 years old when he was coming to the leadership program, and they were going to the child care program through Schrader Lane, and they had seen him at Easter. And so when he was walking through and having the tour, they're looking at him like, we know him. We know, and kind of like trying to slide and wave. And now they can't get enough of Uncle Rick. They're sitting on his lap, they're sitting on his head, they're sitting wherever they
want to travel to North Carolina for 10 hours.
Yes. And we've done that a couple of times. Not the last time, but it's, so when we come back here, so you're inviting yourself back to North Carolina. And Uncle Rick, can you teach us how to do it? And I love it. I absolutely love the relationship that they formed with him, because for all their life that they can remember, Uncle Rick has been here.
Yeah, they're good kids.
They're active.
High energetic.
It is 2 of them. Actually, it's 4 of them now, but it's 2 of them. That's 7. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. What a beautiful, beautiful story. You all really basically answered all of the questions in your one wow. But I just want to go back a little bit and hear a little bit more about Siobhan. What was it that you saw in Rick that said, okay, yes, he's the one? And then Rick, when you say that she is blessed by ministry, talk to us a little more about that.
Wow. So, I always wanted someone that loved God wholeheartedly. I felt that, if you love God and you can show me that you're not playing around with this, then you will know how to love me. There are, again, we dated later in our life. And so I had been in those relationships before that I knew what I was not going to accept again. And so seeing that relationship that he has with Christ, seeing the relationship that he has a special heart for those that are older. You know, I mean, it's one of those that he just takes
She's
on.
calling you an old soul. That's okay.
But he does. It's just one of those that when I see the passion that he has for those that are older, for those that may not be able to do for themselves, and I was like, yeah, that's one of those little check marks that I was like, okay, I like the passion that you have. His persistence. Because despite what he's telling y'all, I did not make it easy. I was not just like, hey, come on. No, I did the opposite. I was like, I just want to be friends. I mean, I had reached a point in my life that at that time I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to do this thing by myself. I am near my family. I've got a place to live. I've got a career. I'm missing the husband, but you know what? I'm actually in the process of becoming a foster parent. So everything else that I wanted to do, I've just checked off. So if it comes, it comes. It doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm not going to stress over it anymore. But God showed me differently, and I'm thankful that he did.
To hear her tell it now. No, she has truly, I mean, she has been a blessing in so many ways. Like I said, literally from the first time that, I brought her out to Jacksonville, the church folks, they fell in love with her. They still love her. If ever I go to North Carolina without her, the first question is, how is she doing? They don't even ask about me. My family is the same way. They love her more than me now. So she just has a spirit of giving, of care, of compassion. Of course, she loves God. And that's just something that I've always saw, that, any partner that I had, had to at least love God as much as I do, if not more, because I wanted someone who could help me get to the next level spiritually. And so that's definitely something that she does. She challenges me spiritually, and if y'all don't know, we just started as ministry, the minister of the Cumming Street Church in Franklin back in July. And of course, before COVID, things would have been interesting because, she had been at Schrader for years and had loved it. Her family's there and highly involved there. And, just almost like no place like Schrader. And, me, I'm like, that's good, but let's just look at some other options and opportunities. And so we had been looking, well, not necessarily looking, Cumming Street just kind of happened. Starting back in January, they just called me to come minister to them because they needed a preacher, which I knew that. But, both of us were like, we're kind of comfortable right now at Schrader. I was over the men's ministry and some other things, and she was doing some things with the health ministry and the ladies ministry. And just kind of going, helping them preach a few times. And then they kind of asked, well, hey, we need a preacher. And again, it's almost one of those situations where every reason not to go that we kind of had, God just kind of knocked it down. They treated us genuinely. They wrote out the red carpet. They loved us. Even in negotiations, I'm like, I'm gonna get them there. They're just not gonna be able to, yeah. And just them, stepping out on faith. I'm just like, the Lord really wants me to come. And so, just being in prayer, because again, she had been at Schrader for all those years, connections and relationships and ties. And, it's kind of hard sometimes to believe that. And so, and it's funny because the brethren at Cumming Street said, well, brother, we'd love to have your wife, but, if she doesn't come, we still want you. But, you don't hear that very often. But, one of the first things I told the brethren was, if my wife ain't coming, I ain't coming. It just ain't gonna roll like that. And, just spent some time in prayer and kind of talking things through, looking at visions for, our life, family, whatever. And, she's just been 100% supportive, honey, Florida's leading us here. Let's go. And, we literally have hit the ground running. Of course, now that COVID is here, this was a congregation that did not have any kind of technology, no live streaming, no Facebook, no none of that. The website was obsolete. And literally within, I guess now, almost 8 weeks, we've had to build a website. We've had to get a Facebook page. We've had to go live streaming. We've had to do, we've done all of these things. And she literally has done 95% of all of that. She built the church website. She does our streaming for us. She makes sure she edits my sermons, puts them on YouTube. And, it's indescribable what she means that, she's used to just sitting on a pew, and enjoying, the worship service. But now she is such an integral part of making sure that the worship gets out to so many others who, can't get out to do it. And, just, talking through the vision of the church and then planning. She's my most trusted confidant. And, in ministry, you don't have a lot of those. And so to have someone that you can really trust, who's going to tell it to you like it is, whether you want to hear it, you don't want to hear it, but still be supportive with whatever decision you make, you just can't ask for anything better than that.
And I've always felt that if you're going to do something, and I've been taught, you're going to do it right. And so if this is something that we're going to do, then I can't have my husband out there looking like any kind of way. And so I'm like, you can't wear that. We can't do this. I need you to stand this way so that I can get the angle for the camera. Now pose right here so that I can do this, so I can go and take it and edit this. And he says, okay, dear, because he knows, I have his best interest at heart. I want him to succeed, and I want the word to get to those that are unable to. We have a lot of members that are older, who have health conditions, who I don't want to be there because we don't know what's going on with this virus. And I want, that's the nurse in me. I want everyone to be as safe as we possibly can. So that means that we need to live stream so that we can keep them at home so that they're going to be safe. Then yes, I'm going to get out there and handle this equipment that I honestly have no idea what I'm doing, but we're going to figure it out, and we're going to figure it out together. And God has blessed us with that. And, a few hiccups down the road, but it's been working out, and they are thankful, and so are we.
Yeah. And it's funny because I told the brethren once, we officially took the job, that, they hired the preacher in her. She's the better preacher than I am, which she is. But she just has already been a blessing to the members. They love her. Literally, whatever she needs or she desires with this technology, the brethren gave her the credit card. So again, they gave her the credit card. That's unheard of in churches of Christ. But again, it's just a testament to the fact that they know that she has our best interest at heart. She really is. She just takes care of the church. We've been looking for equipment, camera equipment, and she has been researching cameras. And so whatever price she came up with, trust me, it was the best price out there. And so I told the church, they have saved a ton of money already having Sister Morgan here, because she does not like to spend money
At all.
And but things like that are blessings. And, I don't like to spend money either. So we work well together with that. So she's worse than I am, though. But
yes. People talk about me because I will go to Hobby Lobby in a minute just to save 50 cents off of my little 50% off of one item. Yes, I'm going to use my coupon. And he's like, honey, it's 50 cents. That's 50 cents towards something else that we can use. So
or she'll drive to 3 different grocery stores to save $1.
But I started one, and then I hit all 3 on the way home. So I'm not using excess gas. No, I don't like to spend money. I really don't. So it works out. I'm going to get the best price regardless.
Oh, wow. You all, this has been such a blessing. Okay, okay, so I have one final question, and then we can open up the floor to everyone. And this question is, you both were in your mid-30s when you met. Tell us about waiting and wait and see. Tell us about, how did you keep the faith, keep your focus, keep your hope, keep your joy, and keep your eyes open?
Whew.
Well, being in ministry, one of the requirements that, churches will not say is a requirement, but is, of course, is to be married. And so, it's always like, oh my God, I got to get married. But again, at the same time, I don't want to marry the wrong person. And, you go through relationships and you're like, okay, is this the one? No, that's not the one. That's not the one. Or just seeing how they interact with people. No, that's definitely not the one. So you come to a point where you have to learn to be content, within yourself. That, number one, I am sufficient enough to do whatever I need to do for the kingdom's sake. That, at the end of the day, it's his will, and everything moves by his power. So if he's going to bless me with someone meant for me, he will do that. If that's not his will, then that's not his will. I'm still going to be all right. And so I really got to the point to where I guess I stopped looking and just started trusting God. And so it wasn't a focus of mine as much as it was. And I think that's sometimes what God tries to tell us, is that stop trying to do it yourself. You just sit back and trust me, live your life, be faithful to God, develop yourself. And in due time, if it's meant to be, it'll happen. But many times we'll rush into situations that are not good and not productive. And I can't tell you how many preacher friends, since I'm a preacher, that I talk to on a weekly basis who their marriages have dissolved. And, now you're in a whole nother black hole of being the divorce preacher, or, all because you didn't wait and allow God to reveal what he wanted versus what you and I want.
And I meant to look at my notes and find there was a poem that I read at the end of my speech in Jacksonville. And I completely forgot to look that up. But the idea was that all things take time. And so when you think of a butterfly wasn't just born a butterfly. A butterfly started as a worm, basically, and then it's in this cocoon, and it takes time for them to get their nourishment, to get their strength, to come out of that cocoon, to turn into that beautiful butterfly that you see. That's the same idea that we have to take with relationships. You don't want to rush into anything. You have to realize that God is working on you as well as your partner, and it takes time. So allow that time, allow the time for you to grow in getting to know each other. Allow the time to see, is this something that I really want? Is this something that I am willing to do? Because we went into this relationship saying that this was a lifetime commitment. We're not just, I'm going to do this, and if it doesn't work out, oh, then you go your way, I go mine. No, we're in this for the long haul, and we meant it. And so you need to give yourself that time to make sure that this is who you can be with. Of course, you don't know everything about that person beforehand, but what I try to tell so many people is don't settle. Now, don't set your standards so high that not even you can check them off of that checklist, but you also don't want to settle. There's so many people that will get into relationships because it's, oh, well, and I hate to say this, but you know how you've got that old saying, a piece of man is better than no man at all?
That's very right.
We're not even going. Tell me why my nephews
That's
know
why
who Betty
I love-
Wright
yeah,
is.
that's why she calls me old, because I love Betty Wright. Okay, don't judge me.
Oh goodness, the babies are like, we're gonna listen to Betty Wright today. But anyway, but a piece of man is not, because you can get that wrong man that will ruin your life and mess up your life forever. You will have heartache after heartache dealing with that. So take the time to make sure that this is actually who God has in store, or God has for you.
That is so good. Don't settle, but also don't have standards so high you can't even meet them. And it takes time. I love that. And it takes.
She can preach.
You all are a sermon together in and of yourselves, just together. This beautiful kingdom marriage that God has blessed you with, I know is going to bless so many people, because you have totally blessed us today with hearing your story and seeing your love, the way that you look at each other, the way that you laugh together. Y'all, it's just such a blessing, and I'm so grateful that you shared your story with us. Okay, so at this time, I'm going to open up the floor for any questions or comments. Quintella is a witness. It looks like maybe some other witnesses that if you want to testify, you can testify. All right, just come off of mute and talk, or if you want to put a question in the chat, I'll read it for you.
Hi, everyone. So I was a witness to the to the Morgans getting together. Like Siobhan said, we came down to support her. That was my first time meeting her. And it was something going on. I was like, this man is, the funny thing is, we was like, hey, Siobhan, you can ride with us. She was like, nah, Rick gonna take me. I was like, okay, I mean, we had room in the car for her. She was like, nah, and he's like just being patient. And he's the only male with it was 5 women. And like he was just so patient. And
in
then
the beauty supply store. Yeah. Sorry.
And like, yeah, we went in beauty supply stores. He there, like just supportive. And when she said he opened her door, I was like, okay. I was like, we just sitting there like, I mean, our door gonna get open? Okay, I guess not. And so I mean, I'm so happy for the both of them. I went to the wedding, and Siobhan, I'm sorry because I have someone here trying to do stuff, but did you tell them about the 6 month and the promise?
Yes, but you can go ahead and speak to
Okay,
it.
yeah. So that right there, it made me like believe in love again, because I was like, wow, like the way how everything happened, because she was texting us telling us my flight got canceled and everything, and you never look like how God is setting things up, and we're seeing it totally different, like, oh man, your flight got canceled, but God was like, girl, waiting on you a husband. I need you to chill out and relax. And so it's just beautiful. And also during when she was speaking, her butterfly, I can't remember, Siobhan. I don't know. Maybe you can like find it and send it out to people. That poem that she read was just so beautiful. It made me cry. And my thing is being 42, still single, dating and stuff. Like at some point, you want to settle. And I'm at a point where I've been praying and everything. And I am so thankful, Kim, for this sisterhood that you started. And I'm trying to like be busy with different things and stuff like that, and waiting on God. What are some of the things, I know you said you stayed busy and stuff, but what are some of the things as a Christian woman that you did, like you can tell us to like keep our mind focused on God, and then maybe he'll send us our husband?
So honestly, I live my life. I mean, and like he was saying, I was over the nurses ministry at Schrader Lane. I started a hospitality room at Schrader. I was part of the women's ministry. I spoke. I was the keynote speaker, or one of the speakers for the Ladies' Day in October, and our wedding was in November. I mean, it was one of those, they're like, I know you're getting married, but can you do this? It was just, I have a problem saying no. And that's something that I told him when he was asking me to come to Jacksonville. But we're so sorry. Our 10-pound dog likes to be a guard dog when she sees people walking down the street. But anyway, so any opportunity that I had to do something, I was going to do it, just so that I'm not sitting inside my house looking at the same walls all the time. I took girlfriend trips. Quintella we went to New York one time. Gosh, it was in 2017. So that was the second time I met her. And then this girl was at my wedding, y'all. And here she is today, and she's become a lifelong friend. But I took those opportunities to meet people and do things. And so I was like, oh, so you want to go here? I did a girlfriend trip to San Diego, or I'm going on mission trips when they were offered. Just anything that I could do to enhance my experiences, to say, I've been there, I've done that. I decided that I wasn't going to wait until I got married to do those things, because honestly, I did not know what the Lord had in store for me. But by doing those things, I feel that it made me the person that I am today. I was a whole person when he met me. I wasn't you're my missing puzzle piece, and now my life is complete and I can go and do things now. I love him dearly. And he is that piece that I was missing in the form of a husband, but I was still living my life. And so make sure that you're still living your life. Make sure that you're still experiencing life and not waiting on someone to come in to complete you. When you're together, then you get to have new experiences together. You get to share those things together. But he appreciates the things that I did before I met him, because that's helped us in some things. I traveled for 5 years with a company. So I'm the first to be like, no, we're not going to take this extra insurance on this rental car because I know I don't need it. I've got this, so those other experiences that you've had in your life will benefit you in your relationship once you get together.
And that's the key, I think, even now that we are married, is keeping that independence. Being married, she's still a whole woman. She still has things that she enjoys doing that I don't necessarily care to do. So I'm fine with her doing that. I mean, even working out, I'll go to the gym, she'll go walking, so we have our own separate lives, but then there are times where we'll do things together. We'll go walking together, or we'll go to the park and go walking or whatever. So I think the key is finding who you are and being okay with who you are first. Because if you seek a man to validate you, that's going to be trouble.
Oh, this is so, so good. I don't know if you all can see the chat, but it's just, there are so many amens and yes, yes in the chat. You have a total amen corner in the chat. Well, I just want to say it is 2:02 right now. And I know that both of you all are working in ministry to make sure that the word is getting out to your congregation. So I just want to say thank you all so, so much for being here, for sharing your story, for loving each other. Thank you so much. Someone said a couple of weeks ago, there is power in being loved well. And you all, it's evident that you are loving each other well. Thank you so, so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Absolutely.
This was fun. What did you say, Quintella?
I said she be cooking. I'm ready to come. I'm ready for this COVID over, because I'm ready to.
And look, let me just say, I only had 3 standards for my wife, literally. She had to love God, she had to be able to sing, and she had to be able to cook. That's all I wanted in a wife.
And she
can do all of them very well. So
yes,
God is good. That's all I'm saying.
I love that. I love that you were so clear about what you wanted.
Yeah,
But you got
absolutely.
so much more than that.
Absolutely.
Where you, Rick, when you get sick, she got you. You don't have to worry about going to the hospital. She got you.
Even when he doesn't want to listen. And our new vitamin regimen and everything else, y'all. He makes the worst faces, but he keeps doing it.
Y'all pray for me.
I'm like, I'm not trying to use that life insurance policy. So here, drink. I will drink it with you. Here we are each other's helpmeet and
Right.
keeping each other accountable. And yeah, it's fun. It's fun. We do. I love, and that was one of the things that my sister said. She's like, he makes you laugh. And, I've been so serious all of my life. And so to have someone that I can literally laugh with, I mean, there's not a day that goes by that we're not laughing over something.
We go to bed laughing. I mean, life is hard. Life is challenging. And especially the last 6 months, I mean, anyone would just be like literally out of their mind. And so, I think it was Langston Hughes who said, I'm laughing to keep from dying. And so that's kind of been my mantra throughout life is that, there are times to be serious, but, you got to laugh. You got to let some of that out in some kind of way. And so that's what I try to live by. Got to laugh every now and then.
And we did. We thank you all for this opportunity. I don't know if you got to hear us before, but we really enjoyed it. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you all so, so much. Well, at this time, we're going to go ahead and close out so that you all can go. We do have an after party every single Saturday. So if you're staying for the after party, feel free to stay. But Brother Rick, would you please end us out with a prayer?
Absolutely. Let us pray. Dear God, our Heavenly Father, we're just so thankful to you for this time that you've allowed us to just share our experience and our relationship. And Father, we're just praying that some way, somehow we've been an encouragement, a motivator, just a source of encouragement and support. Father, be with everyone who's present, everyone who's going through, searching for that right relationship. Father, some may be in a relationship, but Father, whatever the case may be, help us to just look to you as our source. Father, help us to look within ourselves to make sure that we're whole, first of all. And Father, we're just asking that you will guide our direction, guide our footsteps, and whatever you have for our lives, Lord, help us to open our hearts and our minds and give us the wisdom to know that it's from you. Lord, we love you and we thank you. What's in your Son's holy and divine name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you so, so much. Okay.